What's up guys, Riley here. So today I'm going to be taking my 2016 Dodge Charger Scat Pack out for a little drive. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the performance aspects of this car and giving my impressions on it. Now this is my own personal car and I have about 1,070 miles I believe on it right now. I've had it for give or take 3 weeks, so I've been putting the miles on it, getting everything, gone through the break-in period, and finally I've gotten able to where I can open her up and make a fun little driving video for you guys. So just a quick little walk around. If you want to see more about this car, other things other than driving, there's a whole bunch of videos on the channel about it, so you can go check those out. But for now, let's go get in the car and let's take her for a drive. So I know the first thing you're probably wondering is, how does it sound underneath an overpass? Let me play you the sound of my people. Sounds good. All right guys, so setting off in the 2016 Dodge Charger Scat Pack, and this is gonna be a fun one. All right, so for those of you who don't know what this car is, this is a Dodge Charger RT Scat Pack. Basically what that means is this is the RT trim level, but with the engine from the SRT, which is a 6.4 liter V8 Hemi, which produces 485 horsepower and 475 pound-feet of torque. So there's several small differences between this car and the actual SRT model. The biggest of those differences are going to be the suspension setup. This one, it's a fixed suspension, so in the SRT you can go into the computer settings and kind of change your ride dampening system, whether you want it to be comfort or sport or whatever. This one's just, this is basically just set in sport all the time, because I'll be quite honest, the ride is not the most smooth. It's really noticeable on bumpy roads. That's when you kind of just hold on and go for a ride. But on smooth roads like I'm on right now, it's just a perfect cruiser, and I really don't have any complaints about the ride quality. I mean, you're buying a car with 500 horsepower, a not so great ride. It's kind of expected unless you're buying like a AMG Mercedes or something, so it's not that big of a deal. Also with the SRT, you get 6-piston Brembo calipers up front instead of these 4-piston. So the stopping distance is actually only about 3 feet difference between the two from 60 miles per hour. But where the SRT's brakes really shine, or if you were gonna go track the car, let's say, the brakes on this car will fade a little bit quicker than on that car. And also the real SRT model has a few different interior options that you can't get on this car, like a tan interior, a flat bottom steering wheel. You have more options on your infotainment system, but really the cars are close to being the same, and for the $8,000 to $10,000 price difference, quite honestly, I don't think it's worth it. But if you have the money to go shell out, then by all means, buy an SRT. All right, so enough about the SRT, let's talk about this car. So, how does this car drive? Well, after putting, like I said, over 1,100 miles on the car, I'm extremely happy with my purchase. I really think this is probably the best car I've ever driven, and I really do mean that. I don't think I've ever heard anybody with a Scat Pack complain about their ownership with it. I think everybody that has bought one has been just blown away by it. I mean, 500 horsepower for $40,000, that's a hell of a deal, and I really don't think any other car offers that. Especially when you combine that with the, a decently nice interior, really good exterior looks, 4 doors, plenty of room for everything, an 8-speed transmission that is absolutely flawless, and it's just such a great package, and Dodge really kicked it out of the water with this. And a lot of people overlook these and just go straight to the Hellcats, but really I think more emphasis should be put on the Scat Packs. I think that these cars are just perfect, and they're such a great package, it really is. So with this 8-speed transmission, as you're soon going to find out, the shifts are incredibly crisp, they're very responsive, it feels so good. So I'm gonna turn on this back road, put it in sport mode, and we'll see about these, this transmission. All right, get a couple downshifts in, and here we go. I'm telling you guys right now, this car is fast. It really is. So many people like to talk about these cars being heavy, and it's like, oh, that brick is so heavy, it shouldn't be fast. So I'm just gonna say that it's not fast and call you slow because you own a Dodge. Well, I'm telling you right now, it's not slow by any means. There are my performance times, as you can see on the screen right now. So here is the clip of me actually doing that time, and it's a pretty shitty quality clip because it was at night and I had the brightness of my screen turned way too bright. But here's that so you can see it. as you can see, I mean, any car crossing that quarter-line mile at 116 miles per hour, that's not slow in anyone's book, I really don't think. I mean, unless you're just used to having a car with stupid amounts of horsepower, then maybe. But to the average person, that's really fast, and that's plenty fast for me. I am super happy with this, and you know, if that's not enough for you, then go ahead and buy a Hellcat or something. But I actually believe I read something the other day saying that this car holds a lap time, I believe it's at the Streets of Willow, with the same driver, same day, same everything. Randy Popes from Motor Trend, who's regarded as one of the best drivers pretty much ever, he tested the Scat Pack and the Hellcat same day, and he got a 1.1 second faster lap time in this car versus the Hellcat, which I guess this car can put the power down a little bit better, but even I have a really hard time putting the power down. These 245 tires are just not enough. If you're gonna buy a Scat Pack, just know going into it, you're gonna buy some new tires fairly quickly, because these are just not enough. While they're fine once you get up in the higher speeds, down low, there's no traction. Now, as you can see, Dodge gave you a whole bunch of different customization options when you can go and look at your steering setup or your engine responsiveness, traction control, etc., etc. And those buttons actually do something, which is very nice. There's a lot of cars that doesn't do anything, but this one, you know, there's a huge difference when you're in sport steering and normal and comfort. I mean, comfort feels like you're driving something from the 70s that has absolutely zero steering response. Normal's pretty good for around town. That's usually what I leave mine in. But once you get on the highway and once you're doing spirited driving, that's when you want to throw it in sport mode. On the highway, I've discovered that putting it in sport mode just lets it kind of cruises better, where you don't have to put so much input into the steering wheel because it stiffens up the steering so much. So that's what I like to do. But the steering response, honestly, it's so good in this car, and it actually turns in really nicely. I mean, we're dealing with a car that weighs about 4,300 pounds, and it actually turns, and it handles pretty darn well for its size. And that's usually when you go watch a car reviewer, you know, like Matt Farah or somebody like that, every one of them says the exact same thing. Okay, wow, it actually turns, not bad. So that's, you know, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people like to talk shit about these cars, but they haven't driven one or ridden in one. But once you do that, it really opens your eyes to the car. And, you know, I wish that more people could actually go and experience that for themselves, but Dodge's, their dealerships for that matter, don't really let people test drive these cars, so it's kind of hard to actually experience it for yourself. All right, so let's pull onto this road now and do one from first gear. Okay, so the thing about the power in this car is a lot of cars have a decent amount of power down low. It's like, okay, first and second gear, wow, that was fast. And then they start to die off. This car doesn't do that. This car just pulls the exact same rate no matter what speed you're going, and it's just consistent all the way through. And that is just awesome. I mean, this is a giant rolling brick down the road, and it hauls ass. Now, another glorious thing about this car that I'm sure you heard in that first clip I put in there, the exhaust on this car sounds fantastic. This is completely stock. The only thing I've done to this car is I added an R2C cold air intake, which really doesn't do all that much. Let's be realistic here. But the stock exhaust on this car with the active exhaust, so basically once you get, I think it's above 3,000-ish RPM, 3 to 4, there's basically some valves in the exhaust that open up, and it really opens the exhaust up, and it sounds so good. Also, those valves come alive when you put it in sport mode, which I'm in right now. But when you're just cruising down the road, just at normal speeds, you don't notice it at all, and it's very, you know, content, and it's very refined in here. That's a big thing for me. You know, like I was cross-shopping this car and the new Camaro, and the new Camaro just had way too much road noise for my preference when I was driving it. This car, I mean, I'm kind of on a shitty road right now. In fact, it's a really shitty road right now, but the road noise in here is probably half as much as it was in that new Camaro, and I just think that is a huge selling point. So with the 8-speed transmission, you also get the cylinder deactivation feature, which basically when you're cruising down the highway, it'll automatically shut down 4 cylinders to conserve fuel. So my gas mileage so far with the car, highway has been upper 20s, so about 27 is what I've seen. And that's without cruise control. I've just been kind of doing this all on my own, and I plan to do a fuel economy video once I get a little bit more miles on the car and once I really get familiar with it. And then in the city, it's been anywhere between 15 and 17. It just depends. Obviously, I could get it much lower than that if I really wanted to, but we'll keep going straight. That never gets old. Obviously, I could just completely send the fuel economy down to like 9 or so if I really wanted to and just was on the gas all day. But if you're driving it normally, it does pretty good, I'll be honest. Pretty good considering the weight and the power of this car. Now with the interior of this car, thankfully Dodge finally put a nice steering wheel in their car. I mean, I guess the old SRT models had a pretty good steering wheel, but my old RT Charger, it was a completely round steering wheel with no grips, and it was kind of just cheap looking and cheap feeling. And this one is so much better. You have grips up here and grips down here. It's nicely leather wrapped. It's also heated. And aside from that, you also get the heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats, remote start, push start, super comfortable and really, I don't know what the word is, but they hold you in really well. Seats, these seats are just fantastic. They're, you know, suede and leather. So it's something that a lot of cars, I don't think I've ever seen this in another car, honestly. Most cars, you know, it's a leather area where you sit down. This one's a suede and then leather around that, so that's kind of different. I'm sure there's other cars out there that are the same way, but to me, this is just kind of a first. But it's really comfortable, and you know, I think that this is such a good little road trip car. I mean, like I said, I put over 1,100 miles on it, and in that 1,100 miles, I had a couple like two-hour road trips, and you know, I felt totally fine after both of those, and I don't think I would ever get tired of sitting in this car. And this car is really one of those that, you know, you hop in it in the morning, and it just brings a huge smile to your face. You hear that exhaust come to life. You're like, yes, this is mine. I like this. So, you know, I just think that this car is just absolutely perfect for what it is. If you're looking for something that has a decent amount of size, you can haul 5 people pretty comfortably. I mean, I guess the middle guy will be kind of squished, but whatever. So 4 comfortably, 5 you can do it. You know, it's just incredible what Dodge has put in this package. And I mean, the sticker on this car was it was like 46,000. And obviously I got a little bit off of that. But I mean, for that money, I really don't think that there's any other car that can beat this. I really don't. All right, how about another first gear pull? It just climbs at the exact same rate no matter what speed you're going, and that's just mind-blowing to me. I'll never understand how this brick goes that fast, but it does. So engineers at SRT, thank you very much. You've got one happy customer. So one thing I really enjoy about owning this car is when I look down here at the gauge cluster, I'm able to see the time, a digital readout of my speed, the temperature outside, my range still empty, my current miles per gallon, my average miles per gallon, and the mileage on the car. All within, you know, a couple inch little area down there. And all of that's, you can customize it to however you want and kind of move things around however you want. And I think that's super cool that, you know, Dodge gives you the option where you can have so much information right here on the center screen instead of having to go through the menu and search for it. That's just a really convenient feature to me and just something that totally sold me on the car. So I guess the biggest things about this car that really surprised me after owning it, number one, the power. I knew it would be a lot, but I didn't expect it to be where it just continues to pull no matter how fast you're going. And like I said, you can't put the power down with these stock tires, so new tires are definitely going to be coming. Number two, I'm surprised at how well this car actually handles it. You know, handles very well. And now, unfortunately, the little handling road that I like to go to, there's a road closure on it. So I'm going to do a separate handling video for this car, probably where I smack a GoPro on my forehead and do it that way. And I think that'd be the best way to give a POV experience of, you know, what it's like to drive this thing on a back road, and then you can really get a feel for, you know, the body roll and stuff like that. Number three, I'm very surprised how good this transmission is. Around town, it feels like it's kind of shifting all the time, so it can be a little weird, but you eventually get used to it. But once you really start opening this car up, it's amazing how well the transmission is able to transform this car into such a better car than I was, you know, previously in. The 5-speed in the old Dodge Chargers and Challengers was just, it's not enough. It really is not. And you know, now that they've upgraded to this 8-speed, well done, perfect. As I mentioned before earlier, the SRT has the 6-piston Brimbos. This one has the 4-piston Brimbos. I think these things are extremely sensitive. They stop on a dime. I don't know why you would really need better brakes unless you're just going to the track all the time. But to me, these are just fantastic, and they do their job. They stop you on a dime. Now, I guess the last topic that really stood out to me is just how nice this interior is. I really appreciate all the soft leathers and just the placement of everything in this interior. How nice the Uconnect system is. I mean, I don't know anything that they could have done better in this car. I really don't. I'm blown away by it. Once I get some more time behind the wheel, I'm going to be making an ownership review video talking about things that would really stand out to somebody who wants to buy one of these and really own one of these. I tried to keep this one a little bit separate, even though I kind of probably veered off and gave you, more of my opinions on things instead of facts. But there's a lot of things I didn't talk about that I want to talk about, and that will definitely come out in another video. So if you want to see more videos on this car, of course, subscribe, and I have so many videos planned for this car. I also have a lot of, modifications and plans for this car. I'm not talking about, power adders. I mean, there's some people, I guess if you're, you just really want to go fast, then go ahead, buy a supercharger, but I'm not going to be doing anything like that. Maybe a couple minor bolt-ons still left to do, and then some cosmetic stuff, and little, kind of how-tos and stuff like that, all on the Scat Packs. So if you are interested in any of that, of course, subscribe, and I'll try to entertain you as best as I can. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take it easy.